Today on MogTalk, we discuss updates from producer Live Letter 33 on what's coming to the game in patch 3.5 outside of the regular updates. First, Zoe Alphapo. Is crafting really needing another grind? Then, diadem changes. Was the problem really giving us an open world? And cross-server party. What does this mean for the game? Is it going to make that much of a difference? All of this and much more being discussed by two recurring guests, Balana Rahl and Markoturn. Please stay tuned. Welcome everyone to MogTalk. Today is 11/23/2016, or November. No, it's 26. It's November 26, right, guys?
You got it.
I got it. All right.
For me?
Yeah, it's 27 for you. Yeah, you and being in Japan and everything makes it all weird.
From the future.
From the future. What time is it there again? It's
7 a.m. at the moment.
I'm sorry.
Unforgivable.
I hope you guys definitely enjoyed that intro there. It's something I'm trying out today. I think I could have done it better. I just need to get a better voiceover. All right? What do you guys think?
You just got to hit me up, and I'll do a little voiceover for you. My voice isn't completely shot.
All right.
There you go.
Okay. And I'll get Marco to do it one day too.
No.
Instant denial. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the show. Today, again, is November 26th. And we are going to be talking about the live letter that happened actually just, I think, within the last 48 hours. You got the typical stuff that they're going to talk about, which is, God, okay, yeah, we're going to get a new raid. We know we're going to get a new raid, 24-man, whatever. Mm-hmm. We're going to get new dungeons. We're going to get a new trial. But there's some other stuff in there that I really wanted to talk about today. And I brought on two awesome guests, of course, like my intro said. And one being someone you guys are very familiar with, Balana Rahl, who is a awesome summoner. You still do summoner, right? You haven't changed that up on me, have you?
The raid team's trying to drag me down to the bard life, but, I'm like, oh, no, I don't have it geared yet. I've got it leveled up, but... yeah, it's still summoner for now.
Okay, still summoner for now. And tell everyone, just real quick, for the people who have, for some reason, not known who you are, if they haven't watched the show or whatever it is, tell everyone who you are.
Well, I am Balana Rahl, a.k.a. YoJobo is my Twitch name. I have been in Elysium since its founding. I've been part of the leadership of that organization for a while now. And I'm an okay raider. I don't really go for the world first prog because I have a day job and it's hard to get away from that. But I do like to kill things quickly. So yeah, some guy who plays summoner basically.
Some guy, some cool cat that plays the summoner. All right. Yeah. All right. And then we also have our wonderful guest who was actually on just a few episodes ago to do translating for us. The wonderful Markoturn, who did a translation for a live letter that just happened a couple of days ago. Marco, tell everyone who you are.
I'm Marco.
I'm Marco.
Yeah, I usually do, like Frosty said, I usually do translations for the Final Fantasy XIV community. There's really nothing else to say about me. I'm a boring person.
All right, so I'm going to amp it up a little bit. So Marco lives in Japan. He plays on a JP server called Gungnir.
Gungnir.
Because
you don't know about the Odin Sphere?
Yeah, the Odin Sphere. Yeah.
Spear. I meant spear.
Yeah. And you moved there, and you're currently going to school there. And you're originally from where?
I'm from Croatia.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on with Marco that you guys don't know about. He's not your just standard player. He has a lot of things going on in the background. He didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, though.
I do not celebrate Thanksgiving. No. That's your American thing. I don't have
American.
that.
All right, so we had MarkoTurn on the show. Let's see who else we're going to have on this show now. All right, so anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in today. We will be talking again about the live letter, but we're not going to be talking about the points that are obvious. We're going to be talking about some of the stuff that I found kind of interesting, as I said in my wonderful intro there. And there's a few things, at least 4 major things that I wanted to talk about, plus a few other side things. First off, before we start, were you guys at all interested or impressed with what was said in the live letter? Balana?
This live letter has been the "it's about damn time" live letter.
Yeah, that's
It's the only thing they had to announce that would have like completed the trifecta of everything possibly they've been talking about is if they said, "Oh, and mods are coming."
yeah.
Like UI mods, because
DPS
a lot of this
meters.
stuff, well, they're never going to do that.
No.
But a lot of the stuff that they announced has been things that they're saying, hey, we're working on it. Maybe next patch, maybe next expansion. It's things they've been saying like since like 2.0 launch, and they're finally getting added to the game. So,
Yeah. That's actually perfect. I didn't think about that, but that's 100% true. Marco, what do you think, man?
Yeah, it was a pretty much standard live letter like any other. We got some new information like the what's it called? The crafter thing. The new content for crafters.
Right.
That's the one thing we didn't know that was coming pretty much.
Yeah, and that's
For
kind of...
everything else we knew that even the Chocobo thing is coming and the Glamour is coming, we just didn't know when.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we never knew when.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming.
We
from
know
all
now.
patches. Yeah. So, of course, Marco, being the Japanese representative, can you tell us how the reaction in the JP community is to a live letter?
Oh, that's the reaction pretty much.
Oh.
Well, I don't think anybody had any special reactions.
They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, I do want
Oh
to
yeah, a lot of people are complaining about chat being disabled in Feast.
Oh, that is something that we're going
Yeah.
to talk about today. Let's go ahead and just jump into it right now since you brought it up.
all right.
I mean,
Sure.
how much have you guys played Feast? Have you guys spent any time into Feast at all?
Like once or twice, I think.
I
Okay.
played
Oh.
it. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
I think I played it more at FanFest than I ever had during the game, and I played it like 2 or 3 times at FanFest.
Nice.
But from what I have heard, the chat in there can get pretty serious business.
Yeah, it's pretty. It can get nasty. Marco, have you done PvP on?
I've done it when it was released, like the first season, the preseason. Actually, I tried to do ranking, but I just couldn't wait. The wait times are no.
Yeah. Did you ever have any bad experiences with chat?
I don't think so. I don't think I had any experiences. But then again, I was in the preseason, so it's not like people really cared about the ranking.
Well, I mean, I know my experience with it. I did go into it a little bit. I even had like segments where I was like, all right, I'm streaming PvP and we're going to stream this match and we're going to go over and watch it. And I did that for a little while. Then it got toxic, really toxic constantly. It wouldn't stop. And I mean, it wasn't bad. Every once in a while, you just have someone who comes down and says, you are horrible. You suck at the game. You're stupid. Why do you even play? Delete your character. And I mean, that was, once out of every 20 matches or so that you lose. I mean, it's not often. People sometimes they lose and they're just like, whatever. I mean, what can you do? But I mean, the idea is that you're queuing up, and majority of the games aren't with a 4-person team. You're going in by yourself with 3 random other people. And you have to figure out a strategy quick enough to actually take advantage of it and beat the other team.
Yeah.
But the thing is, people are going to get upset. It's competitive, right? You're going to get pissed off. Any game that you go to. Go ahead.
When you add like a ranking system in there, when you're going up and down depending on your performance, and you can blame your performance on the other people in your group, you're going to get the shitheads who are going to take all that frustration out on the people in their team. So It's kind of a consequence of having a rating system, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, every single PvP game that I know of enables chat between players, and you're going to have toxic discussions between those players every once in a while. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's bad, and it's just part of how the game works. You're going to have that kind of negativity, and I think removing it seems kind of silly. I mean, and you were saying, Marco, that in JP terms, they're like, why are you doing it, right? On a server?
Not why are you doing it, but like, they're pretty much... It's not something that's usually done.
Okay.
So they're not shocked, but like
confused?
taken back. Yeah, confused. That would be the word. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I get it. I do get it, but at the same time, I don't.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The most communication you really need, like in a match, at least as a DPS, is like, here's the person I'm going to focus first, and they gave you a button for that now. So.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most of the communication's handled. I mean, if it was being applied to the Wolves' Den as well, but it's just Feast, right? Is what we heard?
Just Feast, from what I know.
I think so. I don't think anybody's doing the what's it called now? The
Wolves' Den.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like if you'd be missing out, because I remember back in Wolves' Den, the arena, the 4v4. I used to like coordinate with people like, hey, let's just all sit on the bench at the start of this match. Let's not leave the starting area and sit on the bench. Like that'd be the cool, crazy cool stuff you could do. But with Feast, when people are trying to be serious and things like that, losing the chat, I don't think it's too bad as long as those emotes like get used and are functional.
Yeah, more buttons.
Yeah. Well, I just don't see. It seems like it overcomplicates it to the point that you're like, hey, I have simple things that I can say to people, and I have to hope they understand the general idea and strategy of a PvP match. And that's not going to happen in the early matches. People are going to be confused and lost, and people aren't going to learn anything unless if, like, from their matches, they can't have players actually give them any kind of real constructive criticism. It's always just going to be like them spamming that one button and emote. I can't believe you didn't do this, so I'm just going to hit you and spam it. Like, if you ever play Hearthstone, like, you can't communicate with the other player, so you could say... You have a few commands. One's called "well played," right? And you just say "well played," well played, or like you have the angry one. It's just like he makes an angry emote. I don't know what it is, but you just spam that the entire time.
It'll definitely get abused no matter what's in there. Like people are gonna get mad and they're gonna lash out in any way they can.
Yeah. And I mean, right now you have all these. They want auto translate to be possible in there, right? How many times do you think there's going to be crude comments coming out of the auto translate? It's already happening.
Not the entire auto translate dictionary.
Not the entire one.
It's just one specific messages. For PvP.
Yeah, I mean it really it feels like it takes way too much for me to be actually happy about it. But we'll see.
But then again, I see their problem because it's not that PvP is popular on the game, and then again, when people go for the first time and see chat like that, they pretty much get taken back about it. So
yeah, but now people will care even less when they go in there, and so people who do care, like you'll get people on your team that they have no repercussion for them just sitting around and being like whatever. 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1, and that's all they do because they don't even think. They're like, hey, I get Essos out of this, I get lore out of this. No one's going to yell at me. I'm just going to sit here and spam this. I don't have anything that's going to happen. So they don't even have a thought of like, oh, this is a bad thing that I'm doing. They don't have someone getting angry at them.
One thing brings another, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's putting on the kid gloves even more. I think it's about as ridiculous as the whole fresh meat thing that.
Yeah, fresh meat.
What? The fresh meat?
You used to not be able to see players' names in PvP. It would just say fresh meat for everybody's name.
Oh, really?
But if you emoted at them or if you looked in the combat log, it had their names there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's actually pretty funny. I remember the community team doing a PvP match, and they're experimenting with it, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta try to figure out a way to hide people's names," and so they hit everyone's names, but then they realized instantly it didn't work because there's so many other spots their names will show up, and so there's no way to really hide their name. But I think it's.
But what's the point in hiding a name, anyways?
So they don't get. Stalked and abused. Like, for example, I had a really bad match with this guy, and someone's just like really nerd raging, going like really angry, and they're like, and they're like slamming their keyboard, and they're like, I'm gonna find this guy, and so they look him up on Lodestone, go to their server, make a character, and just sit there and taunt them. That kind of stuff.
And then
or if you post videos online and you're like, oh, this guy's a bad player, look how bad he is. And they try to like shame him. That kind of stuff. Yeah, you see, it doesn't.
I don't think it's something that occurs too much, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you do also have a different perspective on this. I don't know how it is over on the JP community with everything else and how this stuff works. I don't know if people are really abusive over there. I mean, people can be really abusive in the EU and NA communities. They can be.
They can be abusive here.
But that's
as well,
part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get someone's going to do that stuff to you, and I mean, it all stems back to the horrible stories we hear about people shaming people over the internet and them driving them to all these horrible mental states where they're depressed and everything, and in clinical. You can dive really deep into all that stuff, but then. What is the debate really? Hey, are we just trying to make it to where the people playing the game don't have any chance of feeling bad?
No bully allowed.
Yeah. And is that healthy? That goes into a whole nother conversation. But I know the reason why they're doing it, and I think for a PvP community, it's not healthy to take away any kind of communication like that between your team. I don't care about the other team. You don't need to know anything about the other team. It's just the people on your team you want to talk to. But then again, that's my stance on it. I mean, Marco, do you even know anyone who does serious PvP in the Japanese servers?
No. No, I don't.
I mean, from our conversations before, no one, they feel about pretty much the same way as everyone in the NA community does. They're just like, whatever. It's not really what the game's about. It's just there as an extra thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. There is a positive thing coming for PvP, though. A pretty positive thing, which is the removal of GC restrictions.
For Frontlines.
Which is amazing. Mm-hmm. It means they're not going to make you be in the same ground company as someone else to queue in. And so people will be like, hey, I'm bored. Do you want to do Battlegrounds? Or I call it Battlegrounds because I grew up with WoW, right? You want to do Frontlines? Yeah, sure. Let's get a party of 8 and go in there and do Frontlines or get an alliance going. And you don't have to match up the exact same alliances. So this is going to allow a lot of pre-made stuff going into the content. So kind of the frustration that they had going into this was, hey, if you do this, people are going to cheat and they're going to abuse the system and it's not going to work out. And I mean, we kind of see stuff like that with triple triad tournaments and with, the PvP content with 1v1 and 4v4. 4v4 is horrible. I mean, that's all it is because the queues take so long. What else are you going to do besides queue up with another person? And, we might as well win trade while we're at it. What's the point? But I think it gets harder as it gets into Frontlines because you need big groups to do that. And you are going to have a few like powerhouses. I can see that already happening. These FCs are like, yeah, we're going to be the top. Everyone in here is going to be the top. And we're just going to have a plan and go in there and beat it. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a long time coming, and I'm glad they're finally getting around to it, especially with things like your Grand Company squad. Like, it used to be not too big of a deal to swap between Grand Companies. It was still a pain in the butt because you had to go through all the ranks again and forego all your old seals. And I think there was a time limit on having to do it and a small monetary cost. But that was just to go do PvP. They had to jump through all these hurdles. And now with Grand Company, like your squad you got going on, there's even more of an incentive to like stay in one place. So I think opening that up is really necessary at this point, just for people to be able, play with their friends on some arbitrary decision they made 3 years ago.
When you choose your FC, it's like, whatever. I'll take whatever. You don't think about it.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't really give you what the wide-reaching implications are.
Yeah, it doesn't say, hey, check with all your friends and make sure you're in the same line.
Right. Yeah. So I think this will be good for Frontlines in the short run. You'll be able to just like shout in /FC, hey, anybody want to go do this? Instead of being like, any adders want to go do this? Where my Maelstrom at? But what's more interesting is what they said is they're implementing this because of things they want to do with PvP in 4.0, which is kind of leading towards. I'm thinking there might be some sort of like territory control or conquest thing going on with the Garleans and the Alamegans and something cool like that. Or they might just do like capture the flag or scenarios where you only have like 2 teams instead of 3.
Right. And I don't know. Like I think 2 teams is necessary because you could go back to WoW's PvP and you could say and compare it and say, oh, we don't want to go back to that all the time. But WoW is so damn successful with their PvP. They were so good with that. Their PvP was like a highlight, like the best MMO PvP I can think of that was a popular, PvP thing. It wasn't just a game built around like, oh, this game's okay, but it has really great PvP. It was a MMO that eventually developed a really good PvP system. And I think there's so many things that you could just kind of pull from what they did and make it kind of apply to Final Fantasy and still be extremely successful.
Yeah, I think where the idea for the 3 faction system in PvP came up is that was what was run in Dark Age of Camelot, which I know Yoshida was a fan of. And I was as well. And that's the 3 faction system is really good when you have open world persistent things going on, because if one faction gets overbalanced, they start taking over all of the land or whatever, the other 2 can team up against them. But when you have these small instanced kind of scenario things going on, you don't really get that push and pull dynamic. And the 3 faction thing kind of is just complicates it a bit more than most people are used to, I think.
Yeah. All right, Marco. I haven't heard from you too much on this. Tell me.
Yeah. I know Yoshida said that usually they didn't want to do it because a lot of people will exploit the system if there's no restrictions on grand companies. Mm-hmm. But then again, when you think about it, isn't it much easier to exploit if you have restrictions on? I mean, the grand company restrictions.
That's a good point.
Because, I mean, it's much easier to, for example, if your opposing party is Maelstrom, let's say, it's much easier to have another character enter the Maelstrom party and pretty much do nothing. Mm-hmm. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. So, I mean, you can kind of plan that out a little bit more, and so you can plan dead players and other teams.
Yeah, to, let's say, harass other players than it is with a more random system.
Yeah. I mean, they could also just limit it to where you can only queue with a party of 8 and not a full alliance, right? And so you still have to work with 2 other parties, and then the other parties that are queuing as a team of 8 might end up on the opposite team. So you can't really have a full alliance. You have one coordinated group. Then the other coordinated groups could end up on your team, or they could end up on a different team.
Exactly.
And that would kind of make it pretty hard to abuse, I would think. Do you see any loopholes? I know you're looking for them, Balana.
Can you even queue as a 24-man alliance for Frontlines? Is that a thing you can do? I know you can do 8-man squads, no problem, but I don't think anybody. I don't even know if I've seen 24 people that all do PvP that are all part of the same grand company, like syncing
well, I mean,
up like
you
that
could
right
now with the system how it's set up, because they would all queue up as twin adders, and then when you have a full side, and then there wouldn't be a chance that you would queue up on the other teams. So I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Goka's in there helping us with our loopholes. He said job selection. So they could all queue up, but I don't think that's applying in Frontlines.
There's no job restrictions in Frontlines.
But you can do that with pretty much with having the restrictions on. Mm-hmm. If you're persistent enough, of course.
Right. I think I'm actually going to kind of agree with you now, Marco. I think there's actually, if with 8-man groups right now and queuing up for Frontlines, it might be better in the long run, and there will be less abuse from this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it took them a long time to come to like the I guess I don't want to say the balls to do this, but something in that ballpark, in a phrase that was less harsh, I guess, to actually go up and say, hey, we're going to just change the system, and we're going to say, just give them what they want and see if it works out.
I think one of the other reasons they didn't want to remove is just the sense of unity you have, I guess, because grand companies don't really give you some sense of unity. It's just something that's there and you do it. You go do your squadron, and that's pretty much it.
There's not enough players to do that. There's just not. There's nothing in the game that says I feel great about being a Gridanian. I feel great about being from Limsa Melanotia, sort of where everyone's name is spelled with no vowels in it. Well, you know what? I have a curious thought that's off on a complete tangent. this is one of the things that bothers me is that I can't pronounce a single person's name that's from why do I always mess it up? Limsa Lenotia, right?
Limsa.
Limsa Leminsa. All right, Limsa Leminsa. I'm like mixing up names, I think, with that. LL. I can't pronounce any of those LL names over there. Marco,
Cool J?
are they still the names still kind of like that on the Japanese servers, or are they a little bit different?
The pronunciation is the same.
Okay.
But the easier part with Japanese is that everything, how you write it, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
So if in in English it's like you have what's the name? What's her name? Melweb? Was it?
Merlweb.
Yeah.
Her name is, when you see it, it's like 20 characters long.
Okay.
And you pronounce it and you're done. It's not something that's long, right?
I got
when
you,
you pronounce it.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
but in Japanese, it's pretty much how you see it, that's how you pronounce it. So, yeah, it's much easier on my side to see what the names actually are.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, God damn it! I wish that could be easier for because I look at it, I'm like,
English. That's English.
I already have a hard time pronouncing everything that's even remotely a word. But like when you go into like these names, I'm like, screw it, man. I'm not gonna try. WJ over here. That's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's some lore thing. Argent's saying in chat, there's some lore thing that's kind of attached with it, but this doesn't make it any less difficult. It's still inconvenience for me, guys. Okay, so
we'll cater the lore to Frosty. Everybody must be Bill.
I'm going
or
to talk to
Ted.
Koji. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather it be like this because I'd just be happier in the long term. You know what? Just make it to where snowmen are actually the main bad guy in the next expansion or something. Come on. You know what's funny? Okay, so I have all these stories that are coming up out of nowhere. I don't know why. You guys are bringing it on.
Oh, really?
I used to play a game a long time ago. It was a really crappy game that was made in Germany that was an American game, I guess. It was all in English. And only like a few thousand players played it. It expanded and went crazy. It went international all over the world for people who had really bad computers, couldn't run any real good MMOs. It's called Tibia. And this game is on level of like RuneScape, but even lower. All right, and it also didn't have a level cap or anything to it, so you could be like, you just keep leveling. There's no like stop to it. But the interesting thing about that game is I campaigned for months to make my character be a snowman. And I went up to the developers. I was like, guys, can you please make my character a snowman in this game so I can walk around and do what I want to do? This is my whole reasoning for it. I was like 12, I think, when I was doing this.
Was your name Frosty back then?
It was Frosty. It was Frosty. I think.
Oh, what's that, like 100 years ago?
Yeah, 100 years ago. How old are you, Marco? You're like 24, right?
It's a secret. Yeah, I'm 24.
I guess that. I don't know why I'm so good at this, but yeah, 100 years. I don't look like I'm old, do I? Oh,
you look
okay,
distinguished.
you don't. Okay, you
How
don't.
about that?
All right. I look like I'm as old as Tom Cruise, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I'll give you that.
Age well is what we're gonna say. All right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyways, yeah. Back to PvP. The changes they're making. One, Feast. I think they're going in the wrong direction because it doesn't just make sense. It doesn't make sense. Anyone who wants to be competitive needs to talk to people, even if it's just to call them a noob. You have to have that communication there, and they're going to find a way to call people noobs. I know it. There's no way to stop that. But the Grand Company thing, I think, is something that's going to bring more casual PvPers into the PvP world.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what other content do you have right now? Balana, what are you doing every week?
I clear on my main, my alt on Tuesday. I do experts frantically on Sunday and Monday to cap, and that's about it.
That's it, right? Marco, what are you guys doing?
Same.
Pretty much the same thing?
Same thing. Yeah.
But if you had
deep dungeon sometime.
Deep Dungeon, I still haven't completed Deep Dungeon to 100 yet. I'm going to have to get in there and do it. I was thinking about starting a 2-man group up for it, but it's just something to do. It's not like something you're like, oh, I'm really happy about doing this. This is a lot of fun. And
I mean, once you get your fireball and pumpkin, you're pretty much done.
Right. But you have to actually go up to 200 2 times and get lucky and hope that you actually don't get a duplicate on it. So, and that takes hours of work.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine from 150 to 200. but from 50 to 150, it's just tedious.
Yeah.
It's no challenge, nothing.
But now you can log in and maybe you can say, hey, we're just going to do some PvP together. And that's fun because you all get in TeamSpeak, right? Or something like that, in some sort of voice chat. And you just go in there, you're like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And you guys are kind of planning it. And you don't even have to think about it. You just log in and you queue up and you like wait for it to happen. Hopefully the queues won't be horrible. But even if they're up to like 30 minutes or so, 30 minutes, hopefully not. Oh, if they're up to like 15 minutes or so, it's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of deal with that. You could do some other stuff, like you can go check on your Grand Company guys. You can go check on your retainers, make sure they're doing stuff, right? And then by the time you're done, you'll have a queue, and you can go in there and just have fun. And after you get in that train, where you beat a match, you get out of it, go back in immediately, it starts to roll pretty quickly, because other people from that match are queuing back up too. But anyways, if you guys have questions in chat, please ask them, by the way, and we will go over it. I need to actually look at that because I totally don't have that up on my computer. I'm being super professional today.
Good job, Frosty.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Carrara is over there collecting questions, and if you guys do have any questions at all, please feel free to ask them because, that's kind of what we're here to do. We want to take your questions and talk to you. And if you have questions about what the JP community thinks, we do have the absolute 100% representative of all the JP community here, Markoturn.
My word is absolute.
Absolute of everything that goes on over there. And then Balana knows everything that goes on in Elysium. He's the representative for Elysium.
Of course.
So there you go.
Yeah, he knows the minds and thoughts of all of his members.
Yeah, Goka's over there feeding him thoughts right now.
We are one entire single hive mind. We picked it up from the Vath,
Yeah,
so.
That's amazing. Okay. Anyways, so I do want to kind of go on to the next subject here real quick, and then we'll kind of come back if people have questions about the PvP side of it. The other part, which is the new content that's coming out, is it Zoe? Zoe Alpha Po?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it was?
Chloe and Zoe.
Yeah. Do you know how hard it was for me to not say Zoe Alpha Poo? Like constantly. I don't know why, but like I just saw that. I was like, Pooh Bear, Pooh, Alpha Poo, Alapoo, Alapoo.
I never even tried to remember the names.
Yeah. I don't know. But this is kind of interesting because it feels like it's not really Wondrous Tales, but it's not, right? Not at all.
What I think this is, they tacked on that relationship system, whatever nonsense that's going to be, sure. But we're not going to keep going back to, what's her name, Rowena, for like all of our scriptures and scripts going forward in the future. I think this is laying the groundwork for a system that you can get away from Rowena's House of Splendors for doing all your blue and red scripts. So when we're off in Alamigo, you don't need to keep porting back to Idleshire. There'll be some person over there you can shower with gifts to get your currency
Okay. So I'm very ignorant to crafting. Extremely ignorant to crafting. I only got my alchemist up to 60 recently from doing Moogle dailies.
Okay.
And being fed levy mates before then. And I got a lot of my crafters up to 50 right now. I'm going through all the motions of doing the levy mates to do them. So I'm not really in that zone yet. So I don't know all the daily stuff and all the other stuff that you have to do. I just know it's tedious. It can be extremely tedious after a while.
You know how there's tomestones for PvP, or not PvP, for PvE?
Right.
You know how there's one that's limited and one that you can get as many as you want of?
Mm-hmm.
Limited ones are red. You can get 450 a week. The unlimited ones are blue. And then you spend them basically the same.
Okay. And you just do that by turning stuff in?
Yeah, you need to craft a collectible item, which just means you can't buy it off the market board and hand it in.
Okay, I gotcha. And so doing this stuff, does this add on more content that you have to do every single week?
It's
I don't think it's a weekly thing. I think it's more of a leveling thing.
It could be leveling, but it's also they did show in the one picture they had of the UI that I'm basing my entire speculation off of. They had red and blue scripts down at the bottom, and it showed it as like a possible reward from turning into them.
I need to see that.
It's in JP, so I don't understand it, but they do have the symbol for red and blue scripts on there. So this is just a different way to get scripts with a fancy little heart meter at the top.
So you're not like you're not doing any more work. You're just doing it a little bit differently. That's what you're saying.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if I want. I already am kind of intimidated to do in-game crafting stuff. I don't know if I want another thing that I have to do with crafting. Because already sitting down 5 minutes to do a craft seems horrible for me. Which it takes that long for some things, right? To do food? No? All right, so if you don't have everything fully geared up, how long does it take to craft like just a 3 set of food real quick?
Well, if you don't have I can't tell you because I've never really not had a full set. But I mean, like the longest, hardest synth to like make the actual item takes 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes.
Even all the ingredients to make all the items?
No, that can get a little complicated. If you're going to try to HQ those, then yeah, you can like look a little bit of time at that. But usually, you can just normal quality them. And so, okay, maybe 5 minutes for a very complex item.
If you had to make all the ingredients.
Right.
Sorry for interrupting, but yeah, I'm looking at the UI at this moment, and it looks like it's not a weekly thing. You will get scripture from that. Scripts.
Really?
Scripts, yeah.
Script club.
You will get scripts from
okay.
it, but it's something that you do for leveling up your fame, I guess.
Your fame.
Not fame.
Your heart meters.
Your heart meters,
Yeah,
yes.
like ability.
Yeah. Your reputation. That
Yeah.
was fine. Reputation, right?
I mean, it's only for that NPC, though.
And they're only starting with one NPC. They're not. You don't have a whole bunch of NPCs you have to do. You just have this Zoe person.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not so bad. It's not a whole Wondrous Tale things, because Wondrous Tales can get kind of tedious after a while. Just because I've actually ran out of time one week and failed to do it one week, and you lose 2 weeks. By the way, if you fail to do it. Because you know how you pretty much do it, and then you have a week afterwards, the reset, to finish it up and start a new one?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't start a new one within that week, you lose that book, and then you lose the opportunity of trying to get the one that was from that week as well. So,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because, I mean, you can't go back and pick up that last week's book. So if you don't do it by a reset, like, you can't, you basically lose 2 books.
Yeah, if you slack off for 2 weeks, you lose 2 books. Who would have thought?
Come on now. You think I would lose 1 book? I don't know. I knew that was coming, but it happens sometimes. When you're a casual player like me, then
I've only completed like 2 of those books, so
okay, fair enough.
Good.
I mean, how does Wondrous Tales kind of come off for you, Marco? Do you like Wondrous Tales, or do you hate it?
Not really. I don't really like it. I mean, it was fun at start because you had to do old content and you had a reason to go and do old content, but it became old. It's
Yeah.
It's pretty much not a responsibility, but something I have to do every week, and it became tedious.
It becomes tedious when you're like, man, I want to get 2 lines, or I want to get 3 lines.
Yeah.
Then you have to like work hard at it. I kind of thought the Zoe thing was going to be the same thing, and so I was instantly got depressed when I saw that. I was like, I'm just getting into crafting. I don't want to do this too. I'm already having trouble doing the other one.
I think that will be different.
Okay, so you could pretty much just level up your reputation with this character within a day if you have all the stuff and you're just going to grind it all out. Well, I don't know if it's going to be a day, but you could do it in one sitting. You don't have to like wait week by week.
Technically, probably you could do it, yeah. I don't think there's going to be a restriction on it.
I think there's going to be a limit to how many things you can turn in. There's probably going to be like, oh, today I want HQ Kupo nuts and a frying pan.
Yeah, that could be
bring me those. Thank you. Okay. I have nothing else from you today.
All right. Well, I mean, that would be a little bit better because it seems weird if they would just put it down there. Because, I mean, the Relic's kind of like that. But, I mean, it's a huge path, right? It's not really easy. You can just grind that out really quick. So, I mean, which would you guys prefer? Do you want to be paced out, or do you want to have to grind it out really quick to keep up with everybody?
I'm thinking it's going to be paced out. And
well, if you had a preference, though, Balana.
If I had a preference, I'd be able to just dump it all on there right away. Just go out and gather 5,000 Kupo nuts and shove them into their face till they love me.
We're talking about a little girl here. So what you said was really bad. But we're gonna pass by that because this show doesn't do that stuff. There's a show tomorrow that expertise in that, but we won't. There's my shout out to LBR that you get the one. All right. So I think it's gonna be. I don't know. I think that's all I want to really say on it because I don't know a lot about crafting. I just don't. I feel like we've never had a crafting show on this show because I've never been able to dive that deep into crafting. It's something that is really hard for me to get into. Marco, do you enjoy crafting at all?
No.
Balana?
I do craft.
Enjoy?
I used to enjoy it back in 2.0.
Okay.
3.0 kind of killed it for me.
Really?
Yeah, the script system was really dumb. The specialist system was retarded. The new rotation that everybody uses is just long and drawn out and horrible, but it's the best thing you can use, so everybody uses it. And there's not really been like much. It's really stagnant since basically, I think 3.1 is like when this rotation came out, and everybody just sticks to it now.
Mm-hmm. Screw it. We're done with it. I'm done talking about it. Like it's an interesting thing. If it's like the way that you guys are saying, it's not going to be that bad. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than that. So I'm content with it being something that's like, oh, you just kind of turn it in every once in a while, and you make the character happy, and then you're done. Just a reputation. Sure. It's a new beast tribe, but for crafting, and it's one person.
Basically.
All right. Fair enough. So the other part that I want to talk about here. Well, actually, this is a question. Orbo wanted to actually ask one crafting question, but I mean. We already know the answer. Will there be more crafting mats and recipes? They didn't say anything about that, right? Marco?
Don't think so.
Yeah. I think it's a given, though.
Oh, yeah, they did give us one set of gear that will be crafted.
Just glamour stuff?
Yeah, the glamour stuff.
Okay.
What's it called? I can't find the English word with the...
I don't know. Is it the suspenders?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That one. Yeah, that will be crafted. But we'll probably get new crafts. Oh, will we?
We probably won't.
Get anything in 3.3?
We'll probably get glam stuff. We'll probably in 3.3 we got the Ironworks set.
I mean, we'll get it from Chloe. All right, she's supposed to be doing glamour stuff. That's the whole point.
I'm thinking what we'll get, the crafters will get, might get, probably won't get new food. We might get new crafter food, but not new combat food, so who cares?
Yeah, not rating.
Well, we probably won't get new potions because we already got Supermax. We might get new main hands and offhands for crafters and gatherers themselves, not for battle jobs, I think. And there probably won't be any new left side or right side equipment, like... for crafters and gatherers. So you're going to be sticking with Ironworks probably the whole way through.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
See.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need to do anything major right now. Yeah, glamour, of course. You know what? That's the thing. Final Fantasy is the best MMO in the world for glamour.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
There's nothing else that's better than the Final Fantasy 14 glamour. So there's that. All right. So to go back to the... PvP stuff real quick because we did have 2 questions for it. And I did say if you guys had questions, we'd go back to it and we'd answer it. So we're going to honor that. And first thing that they wanted to say, Refist, I don't know how he does it, RE_FST. All right. The reason chat is being disabled during feasts is more on the JP side, he said. There are a few toxic players that are known by every JP PvPer, but devs did nothing about it until chat disable was announced. Does that sound familiar at all to you, Marco?
It doesn't, but...
You're the representative.
I never heard anything about... I mean, they're not active enough in PvP to hear stuff like this, but... it's something that's possible.
So
I don't see it impossible.
Are there just like... Is there just... Either you're really a nice person, great person, you're afraid of offending people, or you're just a complete asshole? Is that like just the 2 types of JP players there are? Or there's no like in between?
The thing is that the internet is very weird in Japan.
Okay.
People get really... Sometimes when they get nasty, they can get really nasty here.
Okay.
I mean, I know that on the NA side of the community, it's not that uncommon to see people say what they think. Let's say
Right.
it like that. Yeah. But here it can get really nasty.
Okay.
When they go out, they really go out.
All right. They make little whiteboards of how they're going to abuse and destroy this person's mental state.
Okay,
that. Okay. Not like serial killer abuse, but like just the kind of abuse that you'd be like, holy crap, dude, you need to F off. Right?
Yeah.
And then they become on the public blacklist, right?
Yeah, but what's the interesting bit is that when somebody's getting harassed, it's not that the party will kick the person who harassed. It's the person who has been harassed will disband from the party pretty much. They will leave on their own account.
Okay.
And that's really what kills the content if there's sorry for the term, but if there's an asshole in the party.
Oh my god, you can't say that word here on the show. Fucking shit. Do not say that.
Okay. If there's a fucking asshole in the
Express
party,
yourself. It's okay.
Yeah, if there's a fucking asshole in the party, then yeah, it's not only the person who harassed, but also the person who was harassed will pretty much get out, and it kills the content.
I gotcha. Arthas is saying here in chat that they'll start digging into your social media, post your in real life pictures on forums, and try to shame you on 2C8.
I really didn't hear any incidents like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a lot of insight and stuff like that because he's a streamer, but yeah.
You're a streamer too, Marco.
Not really.
I got a video from you. You streamed recently. You streamed the live letter.
Yeah. Okay. I lose.
Okay, so yeah, Arthas, he does have a lot of experience with that. I mean, he raids with people, and he's actually seen kind of some bad side there. But I mean, people on American servers do that too. There's like a group of just like people who want to completely destroy other people, and they do everything they can to troll, and they hate streamers and everything else. And I know this exists out there on every probably community that's out there. But still, I don't think they should remove chat. You should just kind of say screw it.
It is a little extreme.
Yeah, you should be able to mute somebody and just say, hey, I publicly mute them or blacklist them, and you just don't show up in the matches with them anymore. But that kind of sucks because you get less PvP matches, but getting less PvP matches with this guy. Maybe he'll never get a PvP match because everybody blacklists him, right? Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. We'll run with that. And John Ruscio was asking about what the PvP community in Japan, what they think and everything. But I think we kind of covered that with that statement too. So yeah. Good job. Knocked out 2 questions with 1. All right.
Yay.
So let's move forward. We're back. We're done with the crafting part. We're done with the PvP part. The next part I want to discuss is Diadem. We all know Diadem is dead.
Diadem
is dead. No one really wants to go back to it. And the reason is because it's not that interesting, and the rewards you get out of it just isn't worth it. For going in there and doing the Zerg Fest and everything else, it died out really quick. The big reason that they said they're going to change it, which makes sense, they want to do crafting and they want to do hunting to be 2 separate things. Good, because that will make it to where people who want gear and people who want to go get for crafting stuff, because you have to go in there for crafting stuff to make good food, right?
Not
not anymore.
Up to an interesting point.
Okay,
That's on here.
Yeah.
In that they said that they're going to be closing it down at 3.5 and not reopening it till 3.55. Where are you going to get all those mats from? Where am I going to get my pterodactyl leather? Where am I going to get my retribution staff? Where am I going to get my what's that mat you use for X cordials? Or not cordials, X ethers. I don't know. There's mats in there that you still kind of need nowadays, and I need to silence my phone because I'm on a TV show.
It was a very good sound, so it works out.
Yeah, it's my text tone. It's drives people crazy. They're like, don't you feel like you're getting RMT spam all day? I'm like, well, it usually is.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know how they're going to remedy removing all those materials for a 2 month period.
Now that you mentioned that, I'm not sure if I translated it correctly.
No, like even I went back and I read.
Sense, yeah.
in their official post, they say it as well, that it's going to be closed
Oh,
on
they
3.5 and not back open until 3.55. Yeah. So there's a lot of mats in there. You kind of need like just little bits here and there. Like for the 3-star food and the 3-star potions, definitely for sure. 4-star kind of got eschewed those materials, kind of went away from it. But they're kind of leaving a big hole there like that. I don't know.
I don't know why they wouldn't have announced a different avenue that they would be doing. They have to do it. They have to have some other way to buy it. Like you would buy it from something, right? Maybe you get it from your new friend Zoe.
I guess, or just stock up on those and sell them for a crap ton of gil on the market.
We just gave somebody lots of bad. All right, no, this is good information. Everybody, go farm diadem right now as much as you can with gathering and everything you can do, and just save
now. Everything makes sense because I know yesterday, when I opened the party finder, I saw a lot of diadem parties for gatherers and crafters.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, everyone's talking about the royal mistletoe. Like to get the highest ether, the highest MP restoring item requires an item from there. So,
Jesus, that's horrible. I really hope they find a fix to that, and it's not going to turn into that, because that would be miserable if you come out to that patch. And all these people who go out there and farm it now, I hope they don't really get anything out of it. You know, we'll find a different avenue, right? We'll buy it. Yeah. You can buy it with poetics now, or what's the old one that you can farm? Lore. Is it lore? It's scripture now, right?
Yeah, it's lore tomes, whatever. You can buy it with tomes. That'd be a sort of fix, I guess.
Yeah, they have to do something though. I mean, you can already buy lots of crafting stuff with tomes. Why not make it that too?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so let's hope that's the deal. Otherwise, the market's going to have a really fun time here at 3.5. And it's funny because they're doing that. They pretty much said they're 1.0ing it. They're destroying it, and it's going through a major change, right?
Yeah. Well, they're keeping the same map, though, is what they said. They might fence off some parts of it, but they're keeping the same map. They're going to add in more focused objectives. So those optional things you'd have on the side before, that's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah. So let's talk about the reasoning behind that too, because they were saying, hey, the reason why we're doing this is because we wanted people to have an open world experience, but now, that didn't work out, so we're going to give people goals. Was the issue because it was an open world experience? Did that really make Diadem not work out?
In one way, yeah.
Okay, give me your thoughts.
How I saw it was you came in, you went to one island, and you've done the freaking dinosaurs over and over and over and over and over, and gather chests, and that's pretty much everything you did.
Right.
Yeah. The problem with it being an open world experience is people figured out the mechanics behind it. They found the most optimal way to get the gear they wanted from it, and then they just did that.
Right.
So you offer them a big old sandbox with like all this other whatever crazy stuff to look at. They're just going to find the best little pieces and put those together and only do that. So if you force them to go off to the rest of the sandbox instead of just digging right by the slide, it'll hopefully give people a reason to do it. I still think it's doomed for failure.
We'll see. Hopefully not. If they make it part of what's required for in-game rating, like they kind of have, but that didn't really fix it either, right? I mean, you just for food and getting these little bonuses and everything else. I don't know. I can't believe that the open world experience killed it. I think the leaving one optimal way in the open world experience to do it made it a problem. I mean, there's other ways you can do this where you say, hey, we funnel it, and this is the most optimal way, but once this starts getting used more, there's going to be another optimal way that's going to pop up over somewhere else because this is too much and there's too many people here, so now you have to go over here to get the best results. Or they did other things in there where they said, this is the most optimal way for getting this one piece of gear. This is the most optimal way for getting this piece of gear. This is the most optimal way for doing this part of gathering. This is the most optimal way for doing this. And you had different avenues within that spot besides just, hey, this is the only thing you do this for, is to get your pink gear that's best stats in the world. And no one else wants it for anything else, which they kind of did with gathering, but then you mix gathering in with people trying to get their gear and it doesn't really work out. So separating it makes sense. But I think if they put different options in there that all work out the same way, and then you get a negative effect when people are doing the same thing, then maybe that works out, right? Or no? I'm just spitballing here. All right.
I agree with you in that it just needs a more complex system other than just grind whatever you can kill the fastest, and that's how you get the best loot.
Mm-hmm. No,
once people figured that out, that was like kind of the end for it. Because the first week or two was pretty cool. Everybody's going in their Zerg and stuff, and let's kill these Sanawas over here. And then it eventually just became, you go in there, you grind Triceratopses, you spawn the Brachiosaur, you kill that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you don't really have any good merit from killing a big MM. Well,
yeah, a notorious monster, yeah.
You get a gold chest, but you can get a gold chest from...
Right.
Yeah, so it's not something that... It really doesn't have... The reward system wasn't good.
Yeah, it wasn't good enough.
That's one of the biggest problems. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The rewards weren't that good that you would go back and do it again.
Mm-hmm. And they also have to give it a long lifespan. And if they made it too easy to get this gear, it's going to die out pretty quick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Look, pre-Midas, people were going nuts, and Diadem, they're like, oh, I can get, a plus 0.5 effective int if I get a perfect rolled stat item, and I'm going to use that for all of Midas. It'll carry me through the entire gear. It can be so great. And then 220 crafted gear came out right after, and you had this 210 pink gear. It's like, well, I can just meld this 220 stuff, and it's better. Okay. Yeah. And that completely killed it right there.
Yeah. And which I thought was good. They needed to do that crafting gear anyways. Because if they made that to where it was the most optimal gear took you weeks and weeks of grinding and hoping and crossing your fingers, and lots of toxicity that would come in if you got like a group that wasn't getting enough damage on the monster, so you didn't even get a chance to roll. That kind of brings in this whole system. And so the people who do have that organization where they can get all the people together and always get the most DPS on it will always get the best gear. I don't know, it kind of sucked because you didn't really have any way to enter into that content unless if you had someone that was already doing it. But you said Notorious Monsters, and they are adding in the special bosses that they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's something, but that requires 4 parties. Are they talking about 4 alliances?
No,
or are they talking about 4 8-man parties?
4 8-man parties.
Why would it be 4 8-man parties and not 3 8-man parties?
Because they picked a random number, I guess.
I guess that makes sense. Okay.
I mean, they could say whatever number you like, but there'll probably be some squad out there that'll just 8-man it or 4-man it, or maybe somebody will go crazy and solo it eventually. Like, this number they picked seems kind of arbitrary.
Never going to solo it. You know why? Because people want that stuff, and they're going to come in with their 8-man. One person's over there soloing, and it's like, yeah, I've been at it for like 10 minutes. I'm going to get this down. And a group surges in and kills him. Like, well, all right. Xeno's going to have a sad face at that point, but...
you just got to wait till it completely dies off, till nobody goes in there.
I mean, you can kind of do that now, right?
Yeah, go fight Brachiosaur with like 2 or 4 people. It's actually with 270 gear is probably a joke, but I did it back when it was 210 gear, and it's actually a tough fight when the mechanics actually matter.
Doesn't he just summon a meteor? Isn't that all the mechanics?
He has mechanics?
He has mechanics. He has like fears and confuses and meteors and tons of crazy stuff, and yeah.
I know about the meteor, but
that's all I remember is the meteor.
Yeah.
It feels like it's so long ago. You know what? Was that like almost a year ago? How long ago was that?
It would have been 3-1,
6
right?
months ago?
Original Diadem?
Original Diadem, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's 9 months.
It would have been close to a year. 10 months.
Yeah, it's every 3.5 months. It's one. Yeah, so it's
3-1 was 5 months.
11
was a little delayed, so
it's crazy to think that we've been, doing this stuff for like a year.
Heavensward's like a year and a half old already.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. I mean, I have had more experience with the game so far in Heavensward than I've had in A Realm Reborn. So that's kind of weird for me to think about because I didn't come in until like right at the beginning of 2.2. So it's neat. Although I wish the things that happened in Heavensward didn't happen, like Gordius.
Gordius almost killed the game. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, I've been playing this game a lot in a low point is what it was. But Midas was good, and this whole next tier it's good, but it's going to be strange ending off on this tier. I'm hoping that they get it down. And at the very beginning, or Tangent, what do you guys want to see raid difficulty-wise at the start of 4.0? Which tier out of the 3 that we've had so far?
Well, compared to Alexander, or compared to like whatever.
Alexander. We'll do Alexander.
Okay. Alexander, I think what they need to do is take the difficulty curve of Alexander, Gordius to Midas to Creator, flip that right around. Have the first one be the easier one, the second one be the harder one, and make the last one make everybody quit the game.
Yeah.
That'd be the smarter way to go about it.
No, because it extends that content throughout that patch cycle that you're waiting on the next expansion, right? And so you're just like, you have that, and people going into it, you can nerf it at 3.5 or whatever, 4.5. You can bring it all down and whatever, and people will say, oh, I beat it pre-nerf. And then it's difficult, but it's a lot easier for new players coming in that have to learn how the game works, plus do the fights before the expansion comes out. Marco, are you completely agreeing? Or?
I can see the difficulty from the developer side to make it like that, because after an expansion, you pretty much get new rotations, new way you play the job. So you can't really make the content too hard like they did with what's it called? Gordius, yeah. Because the DPS requirements there were ridiculous, and with players not even knowing. I mean, the majority of the players not even getting used to their jobs and playing them, and giving them the hardest content of the expansion. Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah, I think A3 Savage, if you go in there minimum mine level, is still one of the hardest things in the game.
Yeah.
And if you think about go there, try to do that minimum item level, the people who cleared that first had even less gear than that. The minimum item level is like 190, I think, and people were in there in 180 with 190 weapons. So
yeah, exactly.
It's insane to think about that. Jesus. Props to Elysium again. That was one of the most epic races. I don't know anyone who could go 4 or 5 weeks.
that was just madness. That's hopefully will never happen again.
Yeah. I'm really hoping going into this next year, you're right, it starts off with creator difficulty at the very beginning, because you have all this new content people are getting in. They have so much to do. They don't need a really long raid cycle, because the next raid cycle will come out eventually. You just have that raid cycle come through. It's fun, and people can access it and go into it, but they have all this other stuff they can do and get used to while they're getting in there. And they can level up new jobs and say, hello, now I'm experiencing this. At this point, people have alts and they have things that they want leveled up already, and you're not trying to experience anything new after you do the content. There's just not a lot.
Exactly.
I mean, they've also still been toying with that idea of adding a third difficulty, which I'm like kind of on the fence about. Like, cool, it'll be nice to have something crazy hard like that, but it's also splitting things even further. I still like the unified coil system, honestly.
Yeah. Coil was good, and I liked having Savage. I think the second tier of Coil was best. That I don't know if anyone can really disagree with that. It was pretty much set up as well as it needed to be set up, except for maybe new players who couldn't get into it and had trouble. I didn't beat the second turn of Coil until the third one's coming out.
No. Well, the thing is, when Savage Second Coil came out, nobody did it.
Yeah.
Like, why would you go and do that? You can just go clear on normal and get your gear. Like, the actual race for being the first guild to clear that went on forever. I don't think the final clear of it came out until halfway to would have been so it came out in 2.3. I think it was right before Final Coil. The clears actually happened. I actually wasn't involved in that race too much. So.
Oh, the Savage?
Yeah, Savage Second Coil. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The race for that, there's only 4 or 5 teams actually in the race for that.
Yeah, because it took a long time. People can't quit their jobs. They can only take vacations, right? Unless if you're angered, which they are now a professional team that only does raiding, really. They don't have day jobs. It's just raiding, at least with their main team. So that's a whole nother show, which we'll go into at some point. Those guys are insane with what they're doing right now, and it's going to be crazy seeing what the races happen in 4.0 will be like. But coming back, let's go back off the tangent. This was a longer one. We'll go back to Diadem here.
How do we get to there from Diadem?
Because I was just thinking, for some
question.
reason, I was asking about difficulty and everything else, and I was like talking about the difficulties within turns and how you guys want to see in 4.0. I don't know what that stemmed from, but that was the point that started the conversation. So, so Diadem being a point of where you're going to have bosses out there. I think maybe the 4-man stuff that you were talking about, like 4-manning the monster. I don't know, somehow from that it transitioned. It happened. But, going back and the way they're separated, it is definitely improvements. It's things, again, like you said, Balana, this has been so far the live letter of finally, what the hell, what took you so long? And maybe this will fix Diadem. Diadem was one of the first bits of content that they overhyped going into 3.0. They were like, this is the part that's going to be awesome. You're going to do all this crazy stuff with it. And then it just went into shambles. And it fell apart completely. And I don't think they could ever come out and publicly say that Diadem was a failure, but this was the biggest failure of the expansion.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Marco, was there something that went worse than Diadem that you can think of?
No, not really.
It was
Gordius.
That's a good point.
Gordius was so good until it got to the 4th tier, and it was difficult for too many people.
Gordius didn't
four,
fail. I don't think it failed.
The community failed Gordius.
It's just that people still did it. It's just that.
Just not very many of them.
Yeah, people quit because it was too much work. Anyways, we're back into this conversation. We got to go back to Diadem. We just keep going into it. But anyways, yeah, so hopefully Diadem gets fixed and we have something else that we can do, and hopefully they don't limit the mats from Diadem. This is, again, MogTalk chip. There's a possibility you can have control of the complete market of all the mats from Diadem if you go in there and farm it right now until it comes out. Diadem will be a success until they kill it because of what they're doing. So there you go. And so going past this, there is one really, really important thing, and this is actually the part that I want to talk about the most. I don't know how much detail we can go into it, but this is the groundbreaking thing that will actually, for me, feels like it will change the game, which is cross-server party finder. I don't know if you guys feel the same way about that, but I feel like this is going to completely change activity within the game, players being able to do content, people transferring to Gilgamesh, things like that, right? Not everyone's going to transfer to Gilgamesh anymore because there is a way to do it. Yeah, well, we'll see. The economy still might be better. They might just transfer to whatever has the best economy, and then it gets ruined, and they transfer. But either way. What do you guys think about cross-server party finder? I mean, just in terms of it being implemented into the game, and if this is going to be something that will be good or bad. And Marco, what are your thoughts first, man?
It can only bring good. That's what I think.
Only good.
I mean, really, there's no backside to it. Bedside to the. I really can't think of one.
All right, I'm going to give you one really quick. And you guys can give me your opinion on it. The reason why people think that this could be bad is because it kills server community. Do you guys feel like it will lessen the community within a server and make it feel like it doesn't matter about what server you're on anymore because you could do content on any server?
It can only make it stronger, I think.
You really think it'll make this? All right, explain to me how server community will be stronger.
Because up until now, you were pretty much on the same server and you played. It's not like. How should I explain it? I mean, the party finder was only for the server, and you played only with the players from the server. You didn't really have that identity that you are from somewhere, if you get what I mean.
I will disagree. I will say that people will feel that way. All right, so I have my own example here. I'm from Exodus originally. There's at a point where I felt like it was a good move for me to move from Exodus to Gilgamesh because it would be healthy for my static, who is a casual static, and sometimes they need replacements for people, but we don't want to stop. I am now terming us the pro casuals. We like to play this game. We have fun playing this game, and we like to raid, but we do it casually. We have things that we sometimes have to like say, all right, sorry guys, I have this thing going on. We have to go to Vegas this weekend. I just can't be in. And that will take away from raid night, and we say, all right, well, we're not going to kick you out of the raid for that. So there are certain things within our group where we needed people to come in, and we had that somewhat. When I left, there is lots of jokes and stuff like, oh, you abandoned Exodus, you left Exodus and everything. Why would you do that? That's stupid. What a loser. Going to Gilgamesh, wussing out and all this stuff. Because people felt like I didn't want to leave the server because I was like, this is the server I started on. I know a lot of people from this server. I'm familiar with what's going on in this community, but it's not healthy for my static to be on this server anymore. We need to be somewhere else where there's a lot more activity going on and we might enjoy the game a little bit better. But there's a lot of people who won't leave that server for that very reason. They just said, I know people here. I started here. It's hard. Oh, I'm kind of playing hard mode because I have less people to play with and I kind of have to make it work. So one other topic on that is when I was looking for Paladin players, right, for the Paladin show, which was going to be today, but we changed it because Live Letter came up and the Paladin guests that I have coming on have Thanksgiving things coming on and everything else. But one of the players plays on Genova. And he was very vocal about how we need to do a small server show discussing small server rating because he would never leave Genova. He would never leave it. He feels it's stupid that people leave servers because it's home to him. He can't leave it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to him. And people leaving it just makes the community worse for him and it makes it more horrible. So people do have that sense of community. They feel like they're from that server. So that's why I disagree with you, Marco. You're wrong. I'm right. We're done with that. I'm just kidding.
Your word is the absolute one.
Absolute.
Absolute.
No. Balana, we've said a lot of stuff, but we haven't included you in here, Balana. What's your thoughts on killing server community?
Well, I have a little bit of a different perspective on this because I rolled on Gilgamesh first, and I've been there the whole time. So I've got that Gilgamesh pride going on. But you also see a lot of people coming over from Mateus, from Leviathan, from wherever. So, but they still retain that little bit of identity. It's like, oh yeah, I was on Fairy before, and I've got all these buddies that came over from Fairy with me. So you still get that melting pot going on. What I think the crossover party finder is going to do, though, is might kill the whole like, oh, you know, I was in this guy with the party finder. He was, you know, a really good DPS or he was a really good tank or whatever, and hey, join my link shell. Hey, join my free company. You can't do that anymore because they're on some other server. So it becomes harder and harder to keep in contact with them. But they have said they want to implement cross-server blacklisting and cross-server friends lists. They're working on the blacklisting first. I think once they have that, you kind of circumvent a lot of the difficulties that come, a lot of the problems that arise with it. And we move less from a server community to more to a data center community. Yep. Although the other downside I can see with it is all the Balmung ERP is going to spill over into Gilgamesh now. And
so no, that's another thing that people were complaining about. They're like, oh crap, now all this stuff's going to come in here and we're going to have role-playing party finders everywhere.
But when you think about it, it's not like with the Duty Finder, we still played with players from other servers.
That's right.
It will only be easier to play with players from other servers now. It's not like anything will change drastically in community-wise.
Yeah, I think overall it is a good thing. I mean, if you look back at other games, like before WoW had their version of the Duty Finder in there, you had to run around and shout in zones like, hey, does anybody want to run this dungeon? And when they implemented the auto finder, everybody's like, oh, it's going to kill the community. Oh, it's going to kill everything. Nobody's going to get along with everybody. But exactly. Take that convenience, you lose a little bit. You get a little convenience, you lose a little bit, but overall, I think it's going to be a plus.
So on that note, I was around with WoW when they were doing that stuff, and they were like, we're going to implement... I was against having just the server-based kind of thing where you automatically queued up for dungeons almost when it came out, because I was like, no, I love yelling out and saying, hey, I'm a tank looking for like a group or something, and then like you had to go through that. Then they start making actual systems for all this stuff, and that was good. But it killed, of course, that whole community. Oh, I know a guy. I can get a guy to do this dungeon with us. It was all just automatically queue up, done, queue up, done, queue up, done. You wouldn't think, oh, I have to go find someone, which I thought was a really cool aspect. And WoW went in this huge direction, and to the point to where they evolved into you could play with anyone from a lot of different servers. I don't know if this is data center based there or not.
There's zero restrictions now.
Yeah, so you could play from any server anywhere. You could get into groups and raid groups. So your server doesn't matter. Anything that goes on your server, why would you care, right? But then again, I also played on PvP servers and we killed each other and it was a lot of fun. But the other part to this is eventually I got used to it. I didn't care anymore, right? I thought my community
Yeah.
was dying. I thought things were dying out. And I was really upset during that whole expansion when they were starting to introduce all these different things that killed that part of the community where you had to communicate and talk to other people to get stuff done and start up to do it. Raid Finder really killed me, by the way, Balana. That was one of the things where I thought that the game should have been just dead at that point because you could easily just queue up and do a really easy mode of the dungeon and you wouldn't have to do that, so you didn't have to work for the story, which is the whole argument between Coil and what we have right now, right?
Yep. I was in kind of the same boat there because I worked my butt off to go kill Illidan, and now to go kill Deathwing, you can just press a button, get queued up with a bunch of nincompoops, and as long as 3 people know what they're doing, then you're good to go.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened with normal mode as well, but I'm okay with it because Alexander's story was garbage. It's really bad.
It got epic. It got cool towards the end. I wish the story would have built up better to come out with the visual effects that looked really cool.
We got
to
a
me.
good ending. That's it.
The fights have nothing to do with it, though. Like, Alexander Prime just shows up. He just shows up. You're like, Sid's like, oh, you better fight that thing later.
Well, all of the bosses are like that. Like, you're progressing through Alexander, and they're like, oh, I have to kill this one. Oh, I have to kill it.
But I mean, you look
story-wise, they have no place there.
Right. I mean, at least you look at Final Coil. You've got 12 and 13. Spoilers. You got Louis Swa, and you go into the heart of Bahamut to like kill him. Like that. Those have relevance to the plot of what's going on. None of that happened in Alexander. So
it's going to be really hard for them to match up with that. I mean, because that was a serious story. That was like really important to the game story. They would have to make a really important to the game story that would go along separate from the main story quest, which is what they did with Coil, but I don't know if they could achieve that going forward, could they? I mean, I guess they could. I mean, they kind of... All right, so let's take this to the other storyline that's going on, the 24-man storyline. How invested are you guys with that?
It's a better story than Alexander.
Okay. Yeah. So when you go out... The thing is, when you kill those bosses, they're really cool bosses, but they don't really mean as much to you, I guess, unless if you actually try to look into it. Which, after talking to Ethis about Weeping City, those guys mean a lot more to me, especially Ozma means a lot because it was a super doomsday device that, and all the other stuff that's going into it. But you don't really realize that stuff when you're just clicking through everything going as fast as you can. But, I mean, it does have a little bit more meaning, but... When we go back to the other 24 bands, how much did you care about killing those bosses, like the Cloud of Darkness? It was really cool, right? But did we care about them with the storyline? And when we killed him, was that boss even related to much of the story? Sort of, it was, but...
Yeah, like all the last bosses were directly related to the storyline for Crystal Tower.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I didn't follow it.
Except for maybe the first last boss...
one wasn't.
Yeah, no, that one was kind of just like a guy, and then he became a mob in one of the later ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's King Xande and then Cloud of Darkness. So both of those are like big lore figures.
But the thing is that with Coils, we had 1.0, the entire story of 1.0 that was before the Coils. And for Crystal Tower, we had Final Fantasy III's theme pretty much put into the theme of Final Fantasy XIV. So they had something to build up on.
Mm-hmm.
With the Mog series and with the Alexander series, we really don't have any good, how should I say it?
Backstories that we've been going along with everything. Because 1.0 came into Coil.
It's completely fresh.
Yeah, and so it's hard to... There's no way they could live up to it. If they found a way, I would buy Koji a steak, and I would eat it with him. I would do that anyways. But, no, like... He would have to work really hard to build up to something that was even remotely close to what Coil was. And so it's hard to fulfill our expectations. Now we have lower expectations, I guess. So maybe we'll do a little bit better going into the next one.
We'll see.
All this stemmed to talk about Party Finder, going into Raid Finder, killing, how you felt about everything. The story started to feel a little bit less important because you didn't have to work for it. Luckily, Cross Party Finder won't do that. And I think Alexander already had that hit from it. They already had the hit where you're like, oh, well, the story matters a little bit less because it's easy. You don't have to work hard to get towards the story. And that's just how it's going to be going forward. There's no way to get around it unless if they kill the easy mode part of it, which I don't think that they will. Because people rather do that sometimes instead of do the hard content.
I guess that also has a lot to do with why people don't like the Alexander story. is because you're pretty much done with it in one day.
You don't have to work for it.
You don't have to work for it. Yeah, there's no feeling of reward after when you watch a cutscene. I mean, after doing, I don't know.
It's just like doing a regular story quest. You're
exactly. Yeah. I mean, after doing turn 5 and actually doing it for a few weeks, you want to watch the cutscene.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see how they play that out in 4.0. They'll change that up a bit. But cross-party finder server thing that we started off on, we really like rating, by the way, guys. If you guys can't tell, we were really invested into the whole rating topic that we got going on. But with cross-server party finder, I kind of agree. Instead of having these server communities, we will have data center communities with little sub communities of servers. But I don't think it's going to kill the game that much community-wise. That's the only negative side that I've seen about it at all. Positive, it's going to help make us form into a bigger, more aware community of what's going on. Because how many data centers are there? It's like 9? 8?
9?
Somewhere in that range.
Something like that.
So it's like we're having that many servers kind of going on with little communities going on behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't agree that it will have any effect on the community.
Yeah.
Really. Because, I mean, you still have to form free companies and link shells inside the server. You can't go cross-server.
But you don't need the free company for anything but buffs, right? Unless if, I don't know. It's not as important anymore.
Then again, yeah.
But then again, that's how JP servers work right now, right? They only want to make free companies with their friends. They don't care about using it for rating or anything.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of works out over there. I mean, that might be just kind of what it turns into, except for like the big FCs, like the Elysiums or the the Angers of the world. Well, their own FCs. Will you require people to be on Gilgamesh for your new raids there? Or will if like the best player in the world comes on?
Yes, because we can't trade you gear across server.
True.
If we make you the fancy new 280 crafted gear, we can't. It's hard to trade cross server right now, so
it's impossible.
But yeah, if you guys can't tell, I love Elysium. They're awesome guys. They're great.
We like you too, Frosty.
Aww.
You're not too bad.
Oh, let's go out and watch a movie together. All Elysium plus me.
We'll
go watch
Let's do it.
Doctor Strange.
Let's go watch anime together.
Anime. I don't think I could relate to half the anime maybe some of the people in Elysium might watch. Different conversation. All right. So cross-server party finder, I think it's definitely going to be a good thing. It's going to make stronger, bigger communities, just they won't be server communities anymore. We'll see how it all works out. I'm not afraid of it. I think that is really going to change the dynamic of the game. More people are going to be doing content. People aren't going to get depressed because there's nothing to do. Because they can look at Party Finder and be like, oh, well, this group is going in there and 8 scholaring whatever, or 8 warrioring, something. They're trying to do some challenge. That's something I'm up for right now. Wonders Tales will be like that. You'll always have a party up for Wonders Tales somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, and so there'll be a lot of things that you can do with them making this improvement. And adding in the friends list, wonderful. I can't wait till they do that. They're not going to do it in 3.5, but they're going to do it eventually. But having these, like, you're able to talk and have conversations with these people in different parts of the data centers and everything else, it just closes that gap. As a streamer, that's wonderful for me. Now I don't have to say, oh, I'm from Gilgamesh. I say, oh, I'm from Primal, or oh, I'm from Aether, or oh, I'm from wherever. Because that's what really matters. Because, hey, I want to form a group. You guys want to do stuff with me? Sure. Just make a party real quick. It'll be easy. But I feel like hopefully they don't do a 200 cap on that, because that would be kind of crazy to me. If you still have like a 200 cap on friends list. How much is the cap on friends list right now? Is it 200?
200.
200.
Yeah. I feel like you can get a lot more friends now.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. They could also do what they did with WoW, where if real IDs, right? Blizzard IDs.
Well, we might get there eventually.
One day. The same time that we get server changes where we don't have any delay with our fights here.
Yeah, then you can talk to the
we aren't the privileged JP servers. No delays. That was the funniest thing when I was talking to you earlier, Marco, is when you're like, yeah, we don't know what you're talking about with lag. It happens immediately. Everything just happens immediately.
Well, I checked my ping the other day when I was talking to Ethis, and what was it, 5 or 10, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm lucky when I get
You
under
can be
100.
jealous, don't worry.
I'll be super jealous right now when no, screw you, I don't care anymore, man. It's done. So there's a couple other things in here that aren't really as important to me, but I want you guys to tell me one thing that we haven't discussed so far that you're like, holy crap, this is a really great change, but we haven't really gone into a discussion with it. Balana, I know there's something on top of your mind.
All the shit they finally got around to.
Tell me the biggest shit that they got around to first.
Well, that's been a shit show ever since 2.0 launch. Was having your Chocobo out. I mean, woohoo! We can do open world content with Chocobos. I know people were freaking out in chat, like when that was announced. Like, oh man, we can 16-man Alexander now. We get all 8 of us and a No, it's not It's not gonna work like that. You can have it out in a party. You can queue, but once the queue pops, your bird's gone. It's going to KFC for a little bit.
KFC.
That's not a good sign.
It's okay.
And
no
then,
one cares about Chocobos right now because, it's such a hassle at this point. And, like, unless if you do solo content, that's the only part where I'm like, oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, but still, after you get it to 20, it's not like you'll use it again. If you do open world content. And then, again,
hunts.
we don't have that much.
If they make hunts big again, then you're going to have these giant hunts with, like, as many players as there are, there'll be that many Chocobos, right?
You're going to be able to use them because they're going to work as pets. You're going to be able to use them in situations you would use pets, like quest battles, probably.
Right.
Like instance things like that. When you're leveling up through Amigo, you can have your buddy KFC Chocobo right over there.
True. Yeah.
Alongside of you. So it's I think really going to improve that system, bring it a bit more to the forefront instead of being the cumbersome junk it's been since 2.0.
Yeah.
So Russell,
go ahead.
Oh, I guess I was going to jump topics, but if you had something to say. Then.
No, I was going to say that, like, with that whole fact, I think that is a big improvement. It's just a quality of life improvement, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to queue up with stuff and be able to do fates by yourself or do whatever else. You don't have to, like, mess around. Well, I mean, you could already kind of queue up with it, right? No.
Okay.
No,
as soon as your bird comes out, your queue is fucked.
Okay, I will make it sure because they did some improvement with it. I forgot what it was with having your Chocobo out. There's something
you can mount.
You can mount other mounts. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
that's pretty much it.
Now you can actually use it a little bit more, and I think if they make hunts a big deal, maybe in Diadem, maybe they'll let you use it in Diadem.
Maybe it's possible.
So there are going to be situations, and they have talked about letting you take it to dungeons and stuff, but that's not this patch.
No, not yet.
But they have also talked about letting your squadrons
they're
go into it.
gonna do it for Chocobos, though.
Yeah, they kind of turned over to the Grand Company squadrons. Mm-hmm. They might be doing that for now, or we'll see.
We'll see how that part works out as well. Hopefully that doesn't get too serious because I don't want to eliminate playing with other players because that would be stupid. But it's an MMO, right?
But it's the modern MMOs. You have to play alone.
Well, I mean, that's what you already do that leveling
That's
up.
That's the point. To do everything solo, don't you get it?
So, I mean, when having this whole thing, the only crazy thing that will happen is if they enable hunts again and then you have 100 players out there with 100 Chocobos, that will be kind of harsh on some systems. They kind of read all that, but I think like eventually it just starts cutting them off anyways and it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, they already pieced all that together, how to work with that back when Odin and Behemoth were new, back in 2.0.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, Odin used to crash Gilgamesh. There'd just be too many people there. And then you wouldn't be able to see the boss because it wouldn't load him in. It would just load all the players right around you. And then he cast Sentetsuken and crashed the server. It was amazing. Nice. It's good. What a time to be alive.
But they fixed it. They fixed it, right?
Yep, they did. They eventually went through and fixed it. And there's still that cap on dots, so good luck playing a dot-based class on a world mob ever.
Yeah. Well, all right, Marco. Besides Chocobos, what other things did we have kind of going on that was actually kind of important to you, quality of life standards that we haven't talked about?
Quality of life?
Yeah?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I guess the party finder is the one thing I'm really looking forward to.
Okay. There's nothing really too crazy.
Life, yeah, but quality of life stuff is really something I expected to come eventually, so it's I don't do summoner, so I don't care about the glamour.
All right, Balana,
you
do
were
care.
baiting me for that. You were
All right.
baiting me for that earlier, Frosty.
Yeah.
So they're adding in, if you're not aware, edgy glamours. They've said there's gonna be 3 styles of chocobos. You're gonna get emerald, topaz, and ruby. Looks like
Chocobos, carbuncles.
carbuncles.
You got it.
Sure.
I fixed you.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a chocobo glamour later. That'd be awesome. You can get like a tonberry for your pet or something like that. That'd be amazing.
Maybe in 6.0.
But, yeah.
They have too many primals they have to make first.
I know, right? Well, the thing is, they're probably going to add in Sephiroths because those have edgies in the fight. There's like battles that have the edgies in the fights. They can just Ramu has them, so you can just copy and paste those and make them look real shitty, and then boom, you got your edgy.
Yeah.
My biggest disappointment with the system already is like, oh, you'll use slash commands to change it. I'm like, sweet, I can make a macro, so in the middle of the fight, I'll be like spinning through all the carbuncles.
Yeah, but you have to resummon.
but you have to resummon. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to add resummon in the macro.
Goku's kind of making fun of you, by the way, Balana. By the way, you're saying that. I didn't realize it. Edgy. It's eggy, right?
It's edgy. Whatever.
Edgy. They're so cool. They're edgy glamours.
I warlock demons that I throw at my enemies. Yes, of course. Oh wait, wrong game.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's interesting. I mean, I'm glad that one guy who asked that question at FanFest got what he really wanted about the eggy glamours there, and I couldn't ask my serious rating question. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. No sarcasm, no salt, no nothing with any of that. I'm hoping I can get some serious questions out there and get some serious responses on it, and we don't have to talk about glamour and glamours and everything else. Glamours and glamours and glamours. I'm done with it.
It's good that they implemented the system itself now because it's smoothly. They just put in different skins. So it's not like we'll have to wait another 5 patches to get a different look for eggies. Yeah.
It's another one of those finally situations. But what I'm excited about is how they're going to add in getting the new styles. Is it going to be like a rare drop from Ramu? You're going to have to get you back in that old content. That's where they can get really interesting with it.
Yeah.
True.
That would be kind of interesting. I mean, it sounds kind of like they'll probably just give you a little quest line or something for summoners, some special quest line. That's what I would think.
Yeah.
You'll have to do a quest to unlock it.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the skins.
It would be awesome if they did make that, but then like that would be catering to one job, going out and doing their one thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll say screw it, whatever. Who cares?
I mean,
if they make it so that you can go with a different job other than summoner, then I guess it could be something that everybody could do.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
you say that like you can't just 8 summoner all the content.
You remember Ramu?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, hey, you can just do this with Titans. You don't need to do this with anything else.
Throw a chicken nugget at him. And he's like, "Ooh, chicken nugget."
That was so frustrating as a tank. That was like the worst time. Like when that primal came out, and I was just like, "Oh well, my job's obsolete for this one primal here."
How the hell did people even find out that they can tank Ramu with Titan? That's the question I have.
People
knowledge of how pet damage works.
Yeah. And just like seeing if it would work and doing a test. I'm sure everybody does a test kind of like that every once in a while. One person has to do it at some point.
Honestly, it was probably like a mistake. They probably had their Garuda positioned in properly. It was next to the tank, and the AoE came out that killed the tank. And my pet got hit for 100 damage. Oh, he could probably just tank this. Oh, okay, we're good to go.
Oh,
or somebody summoned Titan and took hate from the tank.
You know what's funny? People are talking about how they're so happy about how you're going to be able to preview gear with dice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
How they get it and they're like, "Oh, this sucks when this is red. I hate it the way it looks with red. I was hoping it's gonna look better." I mean, that's kind of nice, right? Then you don't craft it and then try to make it red or anything like that. But
that's something they've needed as well.
I didn't realize that wasn't in the game, to be honest with you. I didn't know that wasn't a thing already there.
Just because casual.
I guess I'm a casual glamour.
Do endgame.
The first thing that happened when I went to Gilgamesh is that Miyuni and Azu ran up to me, and they're like, or Asuma, I forget how they say their name. The guy who makes all the really lewd pictures on Twitter. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
But they came up to me and they're like, "Oh yeah, you look stupid as hell." Oh, that's the first thing that they said.
I think I threw you some shade for your melds. I'm like, oh, what is this? Tier 3 materia?
Yeah.
Huh, pish posh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you came up to me like, "Oh look," but that was my machinist, and I wasn't playing machinist at that point anymore. I was like, "I'll just throw whatever." I threw in some like skill speed stuff into his gear, whatever was cheapest. Oh Jesus, man. But okay. Izu's and I a girl. Is Izu a girl? No.
Azulude? No.
No, Azulude.
Not a
Come on,
girl.
Arthas. What are you talking about? That's the first thing Arthas wants to talk about, right? Oh, it's a girl? Ah! That's Arthas. That's my impression. So, all right. So those are the things I thought were actually interesting about the live letter. A lot of the other stuff, I don't care. I mean, I do care. Okay, I care. But I don't feel like it's worth watching the live letter for. I feel like
The whole
getting
back half of it.
yeah, and I feel like those conversations aren't really important. Talking about the new dungeon, because when you go into a new dungeon, you think about it for the first week or 2 weeks that it exists, and then you don't think about it anymore. You're just like, whatever. I do it on an expert. It's not that interesting. How do I speedrun it and get through it as fast as I can? Right?
I mean, what the new dungeon is kind of exciting. And that it's what is the name? The wall. It's Trump's wall. We're going to go.
Trump's wall. Yeah, so we are fighting the Garleans a little bit more, right?
That's right. So it's building up straight to 4-0.
Yeah,
We're getting close to Garlean territory.
And it's not just some random thing that we are like, we're on an island and we're fighting just random sets of things on this island as a challenge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like, we have a monkey boss, and what's the next one after that? We have 2 guys. No, that wasn't the 2 guys. The last guy.
They did say, I think 2 patches ago, that they're gonna make all of the one of the new dungeons for the main story quest from now on. So every dungeon will be, at least one dungeon will be for the main story quest.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't feel it. Like this last one with I think it's XXXIII, right?
Yeah, it was forced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm fighting a whole bunch of bird guys, and if you don't pay attention to the story, it doesn't mean anything to you, right?
True.
You can say that
But
about
if you
almost
don't
everything.
pay attention to the
true.
story,
But then you're fighting Garleans. I guess it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Like you're going through story and everything else. I mean, what happened to doing it was 8-mans, right? The story 8-mans that you went through.
Praetorium?
Yeah,
CM?
Praetorium, things like that. Like we don't have that
that was
anymore, do we?
chaos. That was chaos.
Why don't we just go back to that, guys? Would you guys be against that?
Yes.
They learned their lesson from that to not put lengthy cutscenes right in the middle of the dungeon.
Exactly.
Well, okay, they know the lesson from that, but you could have it without the lengthy cutscenes. You could put it at the very end or the very beginning. And
I mean, that'd be cool to do 8-man dungeon as the hype build up as part of the story. Yeah, I could totally get behind that.
why not?
I love CM. I ran it like 1,000 times back in the day to get my Darklight gear.
Marco doesn't. Marco's like, screw it, right?
No.
Oh, okay. So Marco is
I've done
for it.
all of the content.
Alright.
I've done all of the content, don't worry.
No, I mean like as in you would be against it or for it if they implemented that again.
The
8-man normal modes, basically. Like of dungeons, like these 8-man dungeons that you kind of went through.
It's not a bad idea, but I don't know. I really don't know.
You just
how
thought
it
that
would
it
turn
doesn't
out.
mean
Yeah.
anything to you.
I mean, when I think about it, queue times would just raise. So right up, they
times
will
would
become
suck.
longer.
Unless if they make it a required thing that you have to do every single day, all right? Or not every
Yeah.
day, but like once a week.
I mean,
It's
if
part
you
of
make
whatever.
a dungeon, you want players to play the dungeon, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
But I don't know. I don't feel anything special about the dungeons. That's just it. Like I don't know how they could make me feel like really attached to these dungeons. I mean, they do have the main
you
story
don't pay
quest.
attention to the story. That's why.
I mean, I pay attention to the story somewhat. I know that it was important that we went into that magical tower and we went over there and we found out at the end of it, it was the anti-tower, right? And we go into
Yeah.
and so we find out a lot of stuff about the story through that, and that was kind of cool. But then when you keep doing it every single time, you don't think about it. You're just like, this is a forced thing that I have to do.
When you do it daily, then it's not. Yeah,
I've
get
never
that.
been
Yeah.
excited about new dungeons. I've never been like, oh, well, this is going to be awesome. Now I get to do this new dungeon. It looks cool, and the effect wears really quickly.
Yeah, but I think that's because you do it repetitively all the time, and there's really no any content that if you did every day, every single day, you repeat it, it would become tedious and boring.
All right.
No matter how much fun it is the first time you play it.
True.
So if you repeat that,
But
for,
Titan,
I don't know, 10 patches,
that's different.
then
I could do
Of
Titan
course
1,000
you'll
times, right?
yeah.
Still great. Screw it.
Sure.
All right, so then we could also talk about the new trial that's coming up, but we all expect that new trial coming up. There's nothing really to talk about with it, right?
Yeah, but everyone looks good.
Yeah, it looks kind of neat, right? He looks almost like Ultima in a way, didn't he?
He looks like if you ever watch Gundam Wing, the mech called Epion, looks a lot like just like him.
I didn't.
It's a
watch
little bit of
Gundam
throwback.
Wing.
No,
I'm
nobody
horrible.
will get that. But
EM
it's
will get it,
demon,
right?
demon, right? It's,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a demon. Yeah. And so they didn't show any footage of it or anything, right? They just showed, hey, here's a picture of him. So
Yep.
there's nothing really interesting to talk about with that.
I think we'll get it in the next live letter.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. Like at Tokyo.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be there, Marco? Did you say? That
I have
you're
no
gonna-
idea. I still have no idea.
You don't know if you're going?
It's
No.
like a lottery system, right?
Yeah, I lost the lottery, but I might be going in a different way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I don't know.
It's a weird system, yeah. It's pretty much so that everybody gets a chance to buy the ticket.
But it's the same. Like everyone had a chance with the NA one. They just had to be quick with buying it. And they have to buy it within
Exactly,
the first hour.
but somebody can't buy it in a quick way.
Then they don't
Like-
care enough. Someone buys it for them. You know. I mean, that's just it. If
Yeah,
you cared
I know,
enough,
I know.
you're
I
going
like
to
that
go.
system much better than the lottery one, but that's
Yeah.
how they do it here. It's not only fan festival; it's different stuff. Like for popular bars or cafes, sometimes there's a lottery system in front. Well, before people get like 10 minutes before they open the bar, you would get a ticket, and if you're not called, then bye bye. Like
And that sucks. You just wasted your time.
exactly,
Yeah,
I know.
How does this make
Something
sense?
we're not
How is this
used
a
to.
system? How is this something that's acceptable in any society ever? I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. I hate it because, like, okay, let's talk about if you had to buy tickets within that first hour. You have a friend. You're like, hey man, I have to go to this. They are available to do it. They buy you the tickets and you pay him money and it's done. You're not available at that time, but your friend was available, and he had 4 tickets that he could buy, and he buys those tickets. And eventually, everyone buys all these 4 tickets, except for the people who are like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going, and I'm not going to buy anyone a ticket. I don't care." They just buy their own ticket, and then they're done.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me.
I know it doesn't make sense to me either, but
Okay,
I can't do anything about it, unfortunately.
whatever, Marco.
Whatever.
Marco. go to the fan
Don't
fest.
blame me.
Give
Don't blame
me the inside info that's going on. I'm gonna follow your Twitter. I'm just gonna do a stream, and I'm gonna put Marco's Twitter on there, and then you could just do that. Like
I won't be twittering.
Oh, damn it! Okay.
If I'm going to FanFest, I think I have much more interesting stuff to do than tweet.
Yeah.
That's all we did at FanFest though, was just tweet.
Actually, I kind of regret that. Like when I went to FanFest, I didn't do that. I even involved any part of caring about recording anything. I wish I made it more about me going there and just kind of hanging out with people instead of trying to find things to film. I felt like that should have been something. Oh, you know what? Why not? I have extra time here. I'm going to film something. But I felt like it kind of took away because it only happens every 2 years. I don't care if I get a special on FanFest anymore. I just care about going there and talking to Balana. You know, there you go. That was all that was really important to me.
You can talk to me anytime.
Then come to
This is-
Japan, and you have to come to Japan and do the actual FanFest then.
I would love that. I would love to go there, but I would have to be in a lottery system, and I would have to go through all this other stupid bullshit. All right.
You could go as media, I think, if you contacted Square Enix.
But then I have to buy a plane ticket, and then I have to miss out on Christmas.
But it's Christmas in Japan.
True. You know what? Maybe that's a better Christmas experience would be that Kerr and I go to do that for Christmas instead of what we have planned already, which is spending time with family. Who wants to do that?
The biggest problem
Yeah,
in
let's
Japan
do
is
that.
that you really don't get the feeling of Christmas here.
Well,
So-
it's like just a market. Like you got people.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all it is. People are making
You just
money
go
off
out-
of it.
Go out and eat KFC.
It's something like Valentine's Day, and in America. It's for couples.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It'd be a great couple thing for me and Curtis. All right,
That's
never mind.
true. Yeah.
I could try. You could claim to be media in your own way, Marco. You've been on this show. If you need to use my name to be media over there, then go ahead and do it.
I might. Yeah, I can't really talk about it.
Okay, we won't talk about it.
Yeah, I don't
anyways.
want to talk about it too much, but yeah, I might be going as media.
Hopefully, you deserve it. You've put a lot of work into the community here about that. And there's other things, again, about the live letter that we could talk about, but I felt like it was so common and it was something that we would go ahead and it would be forced. There's no reason to really have a conversation because
We have to discuss the guest.
Yeah. Exactly.
And what she likes and what she doesn't like and what she wants.
The
game.
Yeah, I don't know. Guest.
If you're
what do you
saying,
like?
how do you think I felt when I had to translate that stuff?
How was that experience for you, by the way?
Kill me now.
Was it bad? No.
I mean, she talks too fast.
Oh, Mino, she talks too fast?
Huh?
Oh, you talking about Mino or are you talking about Yoshida? Or you talking about the special guest?
The
that
live
was...
letter.
Oh,
the
okay, that's a
special
completely
guest.
different thing. Yeah, she probably didn't have any care about someone trying to translate for her.
Yeah, I don't think she did, yeah.
That's pretty funny. I think I actually read the notes. Didn't it say something like oh, I don't care at this point anymore? I forgot, like, when it got to the guest.
Yeah, Happy was trying to make notes, but I was trying to translate while Happy was trying to make notes, and we were just like...
Yeah, I went to bed around that point. I'm like, yeah, she looks nice. Have a good evening.
I mean, the first hour was of the live letter. The first part was about relevant content and what's gonna come in the patch, and then the second part, which was the longer part, which was I think 2 hours long.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty much her talking what she wants in the game and merchandise.
Underwear.
Yeah.
Underwear.
Right.
The shopping channel.
Exactly. So that's actually pretty pretty interesting to know. I'm sorry, Marco. I'm sorry, buddy. But yeah, you do all this work for it, so you deserve to go out there as me. I think that it's definitely a given. But if that doesn't happen, I'll write up an email that's really angry. How about that? It'll mean absolutely nothing to him, but I'll do it. All right, and we'll
write it in Japanese.
All right, I'll contact you, and then we'll get it translated in Japanese. And then everything I say, you'll just convert it to something that's really nice, and then it'll just turn into like completely pointless. Because Marco, you can't say
I'll
anything
just
mean.
face roll over the
Yeah, this is Japanese. All right, we do have one question I was been kind of holding, but I wanted to wait a little bit while we went through the other discussion. It goes back to Diadem. We'll ask this question real quick. And if you guys have any last-minute questions, go ahead and ask them now because you probably have 5 minutes to ask them before we skip on and get to the closing part of the show. This is from Voldrick from earlier. He said, do you think that instanced notorious monsters in Diadem would be a good thing, like a levy or treasure map mobs? So, like, if you guys got to them and then only you could find them, I guess, would be the thing, right? Because when people do treasure maps, you can't help them with the treasure maps.
Yeah, I think that's probably a system that they're going to adopt in there. There definitely will be.
No?
No, they won't. They said...
Shut down.
Sorry about that, but yeah, it's still gonna be available for other parties to... Yeah, for interaction. They said that they won't change that aspect of that Diadem. The core philosophy behind it is having pretty much a huge amount of parties doing one thing. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing they don't want to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Marco says no, there's no way they're going to do it. Balana, you thought they would do it, and what would be good from them doing that? Go ahead with your part before Marco just completely denied you.
I mean, I was just thinking that they're saying, oh, we're gonna have these little objectives and things like that, and it sounds like they just poured over the system from what they use in the open world right now. Of here's the mobs you can actually hit because they're part of your trial. So.
Nah, I mean it'd make it more like a group thing instead of like a dungeon, like a open world instance thing. Right, because you'd be cooperating just with your group instead of with everyone else that was there.
It's gonna be an open world instance thing. It's still gonna be the same in that aspect because, like I said, they don't want to change that. Mm-hmm. But it's gonna be more objectified. Is that a word?
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's the right word, but that is a word.
Yeah. More objective.
It's objective
oriented.
based.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, when we talked about that, kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I don't know. Like,
I think they're gonna give us more rewards from objectives than only give us tombstones like they did. Yeah, I think that's the point.
It's a fix. It's an easy fix. I don't think it's the right fix, but it does go in the right direction.
Took in 4 patches.
Yeah. But then they gave us Midas, right? And then they gave us Creator.
Yeah.
They had some resources they had to spend in those directions to make up for what happened with Gordius A4.
I'm not complaining, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it did take them. Again, this is the patch of like, oh, finally. All right? Again, Balana coined it perfectly. I wish I would have named the show that. Finally. Yeah, that's the name of the live letter, basically.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that kind of covers everything pretty well. We didn't have any crazy last-minute questions about why Balana's beard is so great, but I'll ask it. Balana, are you ever going to shave, or are you just going to let it keep going?
I'm just going to keep going. I want to get the full-on Gandalf going. So I work in IT, so I can be the IT wizard.
That would be perfect. Please do that. I don't see any reason for you not to do that.
Exactly. Keep working on it. I might get a haircut, though. But
yeah,
it might grow when you're as old as Frosty.
Oh, go kill yourself. I'm just kidding. No. I'm not gonna say anything bad. No, I'm not that old, guys. I'm not that old. I think
I'm older than you. We're around the same age.
We're around the same age, I think.
Yeah.
We are. I'm about 15.
Well, I'm 12. So.
Okay. Okay. We're only like 3 years apart.
Okay,
right.
yeah, it's close
fair
enough.
Then I'm 7. If you're 12 and you're 15, then I'm 7.
It's all right. Growing a beard means you're not a baby anymore. So anyone that has any kind of facial hair is probably not a baby. Oh, Marco.
Oh.
I have facial hair.
Hey, look, I think my eyebrows are a little bit better than. Well, I don't know. We're kind of on the same level of eyebrow stuff that we got going on here. So
yeah,
we're
I shaved yesterday.
If you grow the facial hair down here, it balances it out. So your eyebrows don't stand out as much, by the way. That's kind of something I think,
Yeah, the problem is that in Japan, it's not really something that people like.
Yeah.
When you're not shaved, everybody's...
So if Balana walked around the streets, would they be like, oh, wow, holy shit? Or would they be like, oh, well, weird?
No, they would just tell you, oh, you haven't shaved.
What's wrong with you?
What's the problem?
Are you okay?
Scary guys.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, nothing.
You're the guy that's in the back alley that people are like, we can't go down that way.
Apparently, it looks dirty to them for some reason.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense, I guess, because it's just more things that can get dirty and it maybe can get gross, but not Balana. I mean, you clean it.
If you don't shower, then yeah, anything will get gross. So let's be honest.
Well, guys, thank you for watching MogTalk, the beard show, where we discuss beards and proper hygiene and everything else and how that relates to everything. But no, I think this was pretty good. We talked about a lot of stuff here that I wanted to talk about. And this is kind of how I want the shows to work, too. I want to talk about a topic and actually talk about what it means instead of, oh, we're getting this new content here and, this is going to be here. Do you like the way that, Sophia's boobs look on this one cutscene here? Yeah, good. All right, and that's the end of the conversation, I'd rather talk about, the over-sexualization of this character is It might be a little bit more interesting, but no, not really. We're done with that topic. That's already happened in the world. There's other people out there to talk about those topics. Thank you guys for coming on. Balana, Marco, you guys are awesome people. I love having you guys come on the show every single time. I feel like you are a perfect guest. You always have something to say. Always. And I appreciate it, Balana. And you'll get your set of steak knives. I'll send them over.
Well, thank you.
Don't worry about it. Marco, of course, thank you for coming on. You always give us a very interesting perspective of the show, or not of the show, but of, how other people are seeing the content out there, because we can't always see that stuff. And I think that, the Japanese community does affect how the game gets updated and how things happen. So it's always nice to hear it from your side, too.
It's just my perspective.
No, you're the representative. We've already declared this. But yeah, no, I know. It's your perspective coming through. You have better perspective than, I do or Balana does. Like you've seen things and you've experienced things. So.
Seen things, yeah.
Balana, is there any shout outs that you'd like to do? Would you like to do your normal shout outs?
Oh yeah, we'll do a little bit different this time. Big shout out to Marco, actually. After Reinhardt got picked up by Square Enix as one of their official community members, there was a bit of a drop in our coverage of live letters going live, and you really picked up the ball and ran with it there. And so big thank you to you for all the translation work you've been doing for the community.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Also shout outs to Elysium, Gilgamesh, all those cool cats over there.
Yeah, those guys, those awesome guys. I am glad I've got to meet a lot of you guys, by the way. Everyone over there has done a great job. And they're not just elitist assholes, which is something that I think the community needs to know, because it makes my life so much better, because they're all cool guys. I loved hanging out with you guys at FanFest, too, for the time I got to spend. So, anyways, Marco, any shout-outs that you'd like to do?
Yeah, sure. I'll shout out to Mr. Happy.
Yeah?
Because, he does help me a lot with the live letters, and he did help me get to the point where I am at the moment. Mm-hmm. Also, a big shout out to the Gamer Escape staff and people in that community, because I actually became a member of the staff a few weeks ago. So
congratulations, man!
Thank you. I'm doing translations
Fusion,
for them
right?
Now.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. You don't want to do shout outs to your server or to your static mates or whatever.
Okay. A big shout out to them as well.
Okay, there we go.
Are you happy now?
Are you happy? Completely forced. No. Thank you, everybody who watched the show, by the way. Thank you, everyone who tuned in today. This was a great show for me. I hope that you guys got something out of it as well. I know we went off on tangents a lot, but that's just part of the show now. And I do appreciate Kerr in the chat for keeping things real, making sure you guys don't get out of line, collecting the questions and everything else. Definitely always, again, shout out Balana, Marco. You guys are completely amazing for coming on the show. And also shout outs to Blizzada, Blizzada is actually working with me on some of my stream changes. We're going to have some graphic designs on just personal Frosty TV side of everything. I'm trying to do this where Frosty TV has his own thing and then MogTalk's his own thing, and we kind of developed that into two separate entities now instead of just trying to merge all that into one thing. I think that's going to be a healthy thing. So we'll see how that works out. Shout out to all my static mates who we cleared. Again, we are top 3 in the longest times in A11S clears for being able to just power through it and make it work out. Shout out to you guys for supporting me and everything. And last but not least, Andre Kane, who I never really talked to, but he is the origin of the intro song that we do for MogTalk here. He covered that song, of course, and I think that is actually pretty awesome that he lets me use that with actually no restrictions. He's just like, whatever, here you go, have fun with it. So thank you to that guy. Next week, I have a show that's in development, but we're going to have to see how it works out. I'm still waiting on people to get back from Thanksgiving break to be able to give me answers on what we're going to do with that. And then I should be able to update everybody on Twitter. If you guys aren't following me on Twitter, please do. If you guys aren't following these guys on Twitter or Twitch or wherever, please follow them. Yojo Blow. Yojo Blow. I don't know why, but it's Yojo Blow.
You get close.
Yeah. You do stream from time to time, right?
Yeah, here and there. Yeah. And then also Balana Rahl on Twitter.
Yeah, I did notice that you do have some recent streams that did happen. So let me make sure there's a shout out in here for anyone who needs an easy way to follow you. And Marco, last time you were on here, you're like, yeah, I'm going to stream some. You're going to do some streaming, and right? I remember you talking about it.
Said that.
I whatever, you said it at some point. I believe it. All right, he does stream.
I stream the translations.
Okay, so
I might be doing, if I'm not going to Fan Festival, I might be doing the translations of the Fan Festival itself.
Right.
Might be doing.
Well, hopefully you get to go instead. I would rather you be there in person.
We'll see.
So definitely check out these guys. Follow them either. You can follow Markoturn anywhere you type in Markoturn. I don't think there's a lot of Markoturns out there, are there? No?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah, just look up Markoturn. You'll find ways to follow him. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the show. We do have someone that we need to host. Balana, Marco, do you guys want to pick somebody here to host out here? You don't know anything with Twitch, do you, Marco? You don't follow a lot of people. You do follow some people. I see you pop up in chats every once in a while.
I pop up in chat, say hello, and then close everything.
Oh, notice me, bye. See you later. I was a part of supporting here.
I know Happy's doing his show like shortly after this.
That's right. You know what?
It's a little early to host him because he's not even up yet.
It is early to host it, but it's not too early to shout him out. They are doing State of the Realm after this show, guys.
In an hour, I think.
Yeah, in about an hour, they'll be doing it. I'm sure they'll do some pre-live stuff within about 30 minutes or so. They usually do some pre-live stuff. I'm not sure why they're doing State of the Realm today, because they're usually doing it on Tuesdays. I might stick around and ask them just to see what's going on. I think they might be just doing a special today for State of the Realm. Or they could be changing their time. I don't know. Maybe we'll have back-to-back shows.
It's probably just because of holiday.
Yeah, it could be that somebody has something tomorrow. It's
or
usually
Tuesday, yeah. So we'll see. But anyways, you guys should check them out. They're also a very great podcast. Final Fantasy 15. Okay, maybe that's Final Fantasy 15. Thank you guys for updating me.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, because he is like the ambassador of Final Fantasy 15 on streaming and everything else, and so it makes sense. No, we're grocery shopping. Okay, we're grocery shopping, guys. After this, might come back later afterwards and catch a little bit of the show. But you guys should check them out. They're doing their show after stream in about an hour, probably pre-live in about 30 minutes or so. And of course, you can catch them at Mr. Happy, or Twitch TV, Mr. Happy 1227. Right? Yeah. Then get the numbers right. Okay. All right. Did you guys find someone to host?
I got somebody.
All right.
A12 action going down.
Who's that?
Should I just throw this in chat, or where are we going?
You can put it actually in Skype if you want to. I have Skype chat up.
Oh, all right.
So I actually got that going. I think I fixed that for the future now. Mega
They just wiped. Yeah, I thought they were going to clear it, but they just wiped. So.
Oh, well, maybe they'll clear it after the host happens here.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll do a host out to Mega Kim here. I'm going to do a shout out to him real quick here. Before we leave, we got to do our closing where we do awkward waving, and I say my catchphrase. You guys ready? Catchphrase is coming up. Guys, remember to be good, keep cool, and stay frosty.
Hey!
Hey!